Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about The Line Between by Tosca Lee. I won this review copy, but as far as I can tell, it's a finished copy. When I received it, the book was already available for purchase, so it's not really an ARC. It's just a review copy. I featured this in my February haul, and I had a really hard time describing it. Now that I've read it, hopefully it'll be easier to describe it. This is the story of Winter. She is a doomsday cult member who is exiled from that cult back into the real world. As she is reacclimating to a life she hasn't been a part of for 15 years, a disease is spreading that presents as early onset dementia. So people are going crazy. It starts as kind of a feverish, ill sort of feeling, and then people start to get confused and start forgetting things. And it escalates to full-on paranoia or violent acts. Basically, what remains unsaid is that Winter, who has had a certain amount of things, very specific things, drilled into her head for the last 15 years, emerges from this seclusion to find out that all of it was true, right? Because the world is experiencing this cataclysmic an apocalyptic plague. To add a layer to the story, Winter was in the New Earth cult. They didn't call themselves a cult, but it was a cult. Winter was in the New Earth cult with her sister, Jacqueline. Now, after spending some time on the outside, Jacqueline shows up out of the blue and says, Winter, I've taken these samples, this case of proof from New Earth of what's causing this disease, and I need you to get it to somebody who can decode it and basically use it to create a vaccine for those who are still unaffected. So Winter sets out on this multi-state journey to save the world, basically. It's crazy. It's a crazy set of circumstances. The fact that, okay, so this book is a 3-star read for me. On one hand, it's probably the most intelligent and realistic apocalyptic novel that I've read. And in that regard, it's both captivating and terrifying because similar things have already started to happen, just not on the scale that they appear in this novel. On the other hand, I think that the solution and the resolution and overcoming these obstacles is a little bit too idealistic. It loses me. You know, it's like, oh, isn't that great? But The Line Between specifically is Christian fiction, which basically means it's a thriller suspense novel without graphic violence or explicit sexual relationships or profanity, which, I mean, those are not reasons that I read a book anyway, so it's no big deal if a book is Christian fiction or Christian suspense or what have you. And what I love about this book in particular is that it's not preachy. It's not witnessing to me the entire time I'm reading it. This book does not exist to convince me to believe anything in particular or to prove any particular faith or anything like that. It just, it is your typical thriller suspense novel edited to appeal to an audience who doesn't care to see or experience certain elements in their books. I just wonder if that has to do with this idealistic, everything kind of working out in unrealistic means sort of a way. And I'm not talking about any supernatural or anything like that. I mean, things just are a little too neat. There's a particular point in the book where they do address the kind of thing that I'm talking about, fate versus faith. And, you know, when good things happen to you, is it happenstance? Is it circumstance? Or is it placed in your path by divine means? So the book even kind of addresses this, and it just feels like things work out a little bit too well. The story, for the first probably half of the book, the story does go back and forth between Winter of present and Winter of the past, getting introduced to New Earth and growing up in that environment. So we do get an inside look at the things she experienced and the things that she was told and the ways in which she was expected to live in order to build the villainous characters of the book. I think, though, that maybe Winter had a little bit too much to handle. I think that as someone who clearly has, you know, mental and emotional health concerns after emerging from that environment, I think that her navigating the apocalypse is maybe story enough. But the author has also kind of saddled Winter with the responsibility of saving the world. And I'm not sure how realistic that is. I think that caused some of my issues with believability. You know, you've established a character who is really wounded. I don't know how successful this wounded woman would be at delivering medical evidence to someone capable of saving the world, basically. The story with Winter and her sister also had a child. And so Winter's only objective since leaving has been to get back to her niece and rescue her niece from that situation. So I think that's where Winter's story needed to be. Maybe Winter met someone else who was tasked with saving the world. Maybe she goes along with someone capable of achieving this other goal of world saving, but her primary focus is divided between that and saving her niece. Maybe it could have gone the other way too. Maybe the other issue, the niece issue, could have been wrapped up sooner rather than later, and the niece could have been on this harrowing journey with Winter to save the world. I don't know. I just feel like we're expecting this poor woman to do a little bit more than we should be. Along the way, of course, she meets a handsome stranger who is going to help her, and they meet friend and foe on their journey. It's reminiscent of every other end of the world book. You know, the most recent one I've read is Year One by Nora Roberts. It's like that, minus the magic. It has elements of World War Z, where it's pretty medically, it's a kind of a more medical angle to take. So does it stand out? No, not really. But is it, like I said, incredibly intelligent? Yes. What it has going for it is this reasoning for why the world is about to end, and it makes the reader think, okay, I can probably expect this shit to go down next Wednesday. I mean, that's sort of how it makes you feel, like we are already on the verge of this catastrophic event. The other thing to note is that I didn't know it until I finished it, but there is a continuation. That story is called A Single Light, The Single Light, A Single Light. It's basically the continuation of Winter's story. I really don't know where it's going to go, at least in the immediate future of this world. 100% with confidence will tell you that the line between is a successful standalone. You're not going to be left on any sort of cliffhanger. There are things that, you know, you're not going to be privy to or that you're not going to get to experience, but things are for the most part resolved, and it doesn't leave you, it's not going to leave you lying awake at night wondering what in the world is going to become of these people. You, like I said, it's very idealistic, so you walk away from the book feeling fine, feeling okay with everything. I don't know where I stand on reading the second installment. I haven't seen any synopsis for it or any release date for it, so I guess I would make that judgment at that time. If you're a fan of apocalyptic, dystopian, cult, any of those things in a story, then you definitely may want to check this out. If you've read The Line Between or any of this author's other books, let me know in the comment section below what you thought and any questions that you have for me about this particular book that I haven't answered. Leave those too. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.